Alright guys, welcome to the review of the BigBlue Cellpowa500, and this is abbreviated to the CP500. This system is a lithium iron phosphate battery portable power station, and I'm going to go ahead and get into several different specifications and test those out, mostly the outputs and the inputs, the construction of it, and give you a thorough review of it. This is a relatively new portable power station from BigBlue, and I'm really looking forward to it. The company BigBlue also sent me a solar panel, and this is called the Solarpowa100. This is the SP500 100-watt solar panel. Those are what the cells look like, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the ins and outs of it. There's not too many details on that, but I'm going to work with both of those and give you a full review of them overall, and just give you a layout of everything. Alright, so here's the solar panel. So this is the SP100. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what I see right here. First off, you obviously have the logo here. This is on a one of the kickstands. There's two of them, one on each side, and then they each snap. So right here it has a little button, and it's kind of tough, but it snaps open, and then it fully extends with a Velcro little piece here, and you can throw that on the ground and fully extended. It's like a 30-degree angle. You might need to adjust it and get it to like this angle. It's pretty easy to adjust the angle. Yeah, so when you put it back in, you want to attach that Velcro to it and then snap it back in place. There you go. Next here we have the handle. It's just like a basic plastic handle, and then that's how you carry it around. I think it's about 10 pounds, and it's kind of bulky because it just folds over once. I have my other solar panels I've tested, and this one is still kind of big, but it folds, and it's nice that it folds. It's not super portable, so short distances to carry it around is ideal. Next here we have metal grommets, and these are just really nice to have. Most panels have them, but some don't. But these are metal ones, and there's one on each corner. And then once it's opened up, it's pretty big. But it is a 100-watt solar panel, so that's to be expected. It has the name of the solar panel right there, and they're black solar cells. And yeah, so that's the inside. And then I just want to show you the connector. This is an SAE connector. I'm trying to stand it up here. So the SAE connector is covered, and it unplugs and looks just like this. And then you could just slide it back in place to protect it from any sort of water or mud or any sort of elements that could get stuck in there. And the ratings on here, it's 100-watt rated panel, the rated voltage, the VMP, so at maximum power in like perfect conditions, 24 volts. The IMP, or the maximum rated current in the best conditions, 4.16 amps. Open circuit voltage, 30.2 volts. And the short circuit current, 4.91 amps. And it's made in China. So some stuff that you don't see in here, it's IP67 rated, which is a really high rating for, especially for water resistance. This thing will probably withstand a ton of rainfall, but it's not ideal to use it in rainfall. First off, because it's going to be cloudy, and then second off, because you have the connectors that are not waterproof. So, but in maybe a light rain situation, you might be able to use this, but obviously use caution. And yeah, so that's the brief overview. So that's a quick overview of the panel, and then we'll get into solar charging right now. All right, so now we're getting 54 watts consistently, and it's steadily going up about every 30 seconds to a minute. It looks like it's going up 1 watt. So yeah, this is what it's been looking like. I'm gonna keep doing this and see how high it goes. I'm not sure if this has to do with the panel like warming up, or if it has to do with the sun rising, maybe both. But since it's very cold out here, maybe that is affecting how it's powering. And as you can see, it just went back down to 53. It could be a little cloud cover, but I'll keep you posted. All right, so I adjusted the panel. Yes, it was reading 59. Let's see how it is now. So we got 59 watts coming in. Honestly, I don't know what it is. I think there was a branch in the way, and it was causing part of one of the panels to not be working correctly. But so far so good. I'm gonna keep testing around. I've been testing for quite a while, just trying to figure out, make sure that there's nothing that I'm doing that's causing this to not work. So keep you updated on the progress. All right, we're at 64 watts. I moved it yet again to this location in the backyard. So the sun's hitting this pretty well. I don't see anything in the way. This disc golf basket's not in the way. So we're holding strong at 64 here, and continue to adjust it, get the maximum out of it that I possibly can. And well, I just went to charge this up again and test it out, and it's saying that it's giving me this icon with an arrow on it, or the exclamation, and it's doing a circle. My guess is that there's too many volts coming through. I have no idea. The sun's not that bright, but I'm gonna unplug it, see what we can do. All right, all I did was unplug the panel, or unplug this a few times, and then unplug the connector on the panel. Did like 2 or 3 times, and then it worked again. But now, oh yeah, it's still working. So yeah, just had to mess around with it a little bit, and we're good to go. All right, so in order to get 70 watts out of this panel, I got to make sure it's in perfect conditions, and that means I adjusted these legs. As you can see, when they're fully extended, this thing is totally, it's not loose at all, it's totally tight. So I moved this panel so its angle is a lot tighter and it's a lot more upright, because the sun is not high in the sky, but it was higher than our previous tests. And so that being said, the higher the angle, or the higher the sun is in the sky, the more of an angle on the panel you need. But right now I'm at a really close to upright angle on the panel. As you can see, it's pretty flat and right perpendicular against the sun, at least the best that I know. So we're getting 70 consistently right now. All right, so still out here, 65, 66 watts. I'm gonna show you what happens if I extend the legs fully and angle the panel. So I'm gonna have a before shot right here. That's the angle now. Still getting about 65 watts. Now I'm gonna fully extend it and show you how big of a difference it really makes if you have the incorrect. All right, so all I did is fully extend. This is the angle of the panel now. You can see these little straps are flat. And now you can see we're pulling in 54 watts. So we just lost like 10, 11, 12 watts just from having an incorrect angle or inefficient angle to the sun. So that's how important it is. But besides that, 70 to 71 watts, 71 watts being the highest I've gotten with this panel. All right, now I'm going to test the car charging cable. So I have the car running now. It's about a 3-foot cable. Put it in here. Looks like there's no light indicator here, but it's in. I'll just go ahead and plug it into the 2.5 millimeter input, and just make sure it's working and see how many watts we can get for an input. Okay, so it looks like it is pretty consistent here at 49 to 50 watts of input. Now, compared to some of my other car charging
tests with similar size power stations. This is one of the lower inputs that I've received. On Jackery ones, I tend to receive around 80 watts with their car chargers, and the EcoFlow River charged, I think, the highest at over 100 watts, and so this one is 50 watts. So it'll take quite a while to charge just from a car charger. But if you're just trying to get a little extra juice inside of this, and mine's already charged, but if you want to get a little extra juice to it on a road trip, you can charge it with the included charger. And that's it for the car charging test.
Now we're going to start with just the wall charger that came with it. So you can see the power supply there. We should be getting around 96 watts with the wall adapter. Alright, so I just plugged it into the wall, and has a green battery status indicator light. Alright, now I'll go ahead and plug it right in to the input section, and I believe it's a DC 5525 connection. So it's not the same as like a Jackery power bank or like Goal Zero. It's a little smaller of a connection. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we have a 91 watt input exactly, which is pretty accurate to what it said. So the cord is pretty long, both the adapter and the plug that goes into the wall, and then the one that goes from the power brick to here. It's pretty long. I would say it's maybe like 10 feet long. So AC charging should be relatively easy for like versatility if you need that extra cable space. But 91 watts. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect my Sherpa power bank into these USB-C ports. And by the way, it'll take 6 to 7 hours from 0% battery to recharge just from the wall charger. And then obviously it'll be significantly reduced with each additional USB-C. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on first. Sherpa's on. Alright, now you can see instantly moves up 60 watts to 151 watts of input. So I'll go ahead and plug the next one in to get the full amount of juice into the CP500. And there we go. Alright, so as you can see, we're getting a pretty good amount of power. Both of them are outputting just under 60 watts into these ports. 58, this one's 58, this one's 56, just about. And then the wall charger is obviously charging at its normal rate, which is about 91 watts. So at 200 watts, yeah, this thing's going to recharge pretty fast, about 3 hours, maybe a little less. And the inverter fans, or the cooling fans, are on because it's over 180 watts of charging. And just to prove that, they turn off if it's just under that number. So pretty cool. It's, you know, having two USB-Cs, the PD ports, is actually really helpful if you want to charge this thing fast. You have that option. Or if you'd rather just charge it like normal, the wall charger is pretty decent at recharging it in around 6 to 7 hours from 0 to 100%. So that is the base wall charging and USB-C charging. And as you can see, they all work very well. And yeah, so that does it for the charging section. All right, we'll begin testing out the outputs with the AC output. As you can see, I have it already activated. The inverter's already activated, and all I did was press this button. It turns off, and you can also see in the screen right here, once I turn it on, it shows that it is active, and then it also has this little outline right here in a blue color. just so you know it's on. Now, each port is capable of 500 watts continuous and 1,000 watts peak, but you have to break that up if you're going to use both ports. So both ports, this whole section combined, 500 watts continuous, 1,000 watts peak, and then if you're using two different things in each port, just make sure that both of those combined don't go over 500 watts continuous, and then you should be all set. So right here is the plug to my Amazon like small space heater. It has a 500 watt rating, but it usually only peaks at that when you first start it, and then it goes down to about 460-ish watts. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in right now, and we'll see what it can do. So it's under my desk, and you could hear it. I didn't see the surge. I was looking at the, I didn't see the surge of it, but you can clearly see that now it's getting to closer to 500 watts. And then it goes back down a little bit. So we'll see how that evens out. So we're getting a consistent 450s, 460 watts. Now we're getting to 500. All right, so we're at 505 watts, which is over what the continuous rating is, and so far so good. All right, so the inverter fans are on. It's not silent and it's not loud. I'm right next to it, and if I were to put this under my desk or to leave it a decent distance away, like 10 feet or something, I wouldn't really notice that much. However, since I'm right here, I definitely notice that there's a slight sound, but it's nothing out of the ordinary for these sorts of things. Secondly, you can see that there's a little fan indicator right here, and that just shows that the inverter fans, or the cooling fans, I mean, are cooling the battery down and just making sure everything is maintaining temperature. Now you have the time to empty. It says 30 minutes, and that's cool. I didn't realize they have a minute icon abbreviation right there, which is good to know. We're at 58% battery, and you can see the percentage is slowly going down. And also here, you can see the little circle is also indicating the 57% battery status, and that's cool. That's a nice little added touch. And besides that, this is going a little bit over what its maximum continuous output is. Now, one thing is that I don't recommend doing this, because first off, you have only 29 minutes left, and if this were fully charged, you get about an hour. And plus, this is not really good for like continuous use, just because you don't want it to malfunction if you're going over the rated wattage. However, since I'm pretty close to the maximum allowance, it's not that bad. So overall, right now it's working really well, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off, get on to the next section of the video. All right, now I'm going to test first one of these quick charge 3.0 ports, the USB-A. I'm gonna connect this in there, and then connect the USB-C end into charge my Sherpa power bank. And I should be getting about 12 watts out of this. These each are capable of 18 watts. However, from testing other power stations doing the same thing here, charging the Sherpa, looks like this only accepts a maximum of 12 watts, even if you can get 18 out of here. So although my device is not doesn't seem to be capable of accepting 18 watts from the USB-A, I want to at least see 12 watts coming out of here. So that's what we're going to look for, and now I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Okay, slowly increasing here. All right, it says 14 output watts, and you can see it says 13 watts are coming in. Now I'll be testing the USB-C PD ports, and I'm going to be charging the Sherpa as well once again, and this should be outputting about 60 watts, since that's what they're rated for. And now I'll just go ahead and plug it in, and plug it into the other USB-C. Okay, this one's working fine, and we're getting the correct amount of output watts, just slightly higher than 60 watts. And looking at the watts going in to my power bank, it says 58 watts are coming in. So very close to 60 on both spectrums. And that, to me, passes the test. And then I'm going to try this original output port once again. Okay, and now it starts working up to its full capacity. There we go. All right, and on my power bank, it says 58 watts are coming in. All right, so now I'm going to test all of the USB ports together. I have a, it's my portable jump starter. It's basically a battery that accepts USB-C. Hopefully we'll get 60 watts out of that. Same with the Sherpa power bank right here. Then I also have my earbuds once again to charge from USB-A right there, and then here I'll just be charging this phone. So in total I will expect to receive 120 watts from the USB-Cs, about 9 watts or 8 watts from here, and then 1 watt on here, so about 10 here, and then 120 here, so 130 total watts is what I'm hoping for once we plug everything in and get it ready to go. Okay, just plugged my phone in, and as you can see, instantly went to 10 watts output. All right, now I'm going to plug in the Sherpa. Should see an increase here, and it will automatically detect the USB-C. Okay, there we go. All right, and the Sherpa is showing that it's getting 57 watts. Right there. There we go, okay. All right, now it's shifted. With USB-Cs, it can sometimes be difficult to figure out whether you want it to be an input or output, but all I did was plug in and out the USB-C connected to the jump starter battery, and you can see that we're outputting a total of 135 watts. And my prediction from what I said earlier, I think was 130 watts, and now it's putting just a little more out. Okay, now I'm going to test the DC 5521 ports. I have this cable plugged into the Jackery 1000, and I have an adapter here. You can see that little adapter is from the Conta solar panel, which I actually have right here. This works with my other Jackeries to connect them together. So let's see how many watts we can get out of just one of these ports. Okay, I just started the port up, and now you can see after a few seconds we're starting to increase. Alright, so we have a 76 watt output. Now we're going to go down to the Jackery to make sure it's reading it correctly. And as you can see, it says 74, 73, 75 watts. So fairly consistent there, and also pretty accurate on the BigBlue's screen. So only a loss of about a watt or two, and this is excellent because it's only rated for 12 volts 5 amps, but we're getting even more out. So that is really good to see that we're getting more wattage out in order to get the maximum amount into this Jackery. So that shows that. I'm not sure if that means this is regulated, this section, but it is showing that you're going to get more power if your desired device could take in more power. All right, now I have the BigBlue car charger plugged into the output port for the car, and then I have it connected once again to the same adapter, and we're going to see how many watts we can get from this car port. I'm not expecting to get the full 120 because the Jackery from its car charger only accepts about 80 watts from its actual own one of these. So we'll see how much we can get. And we're at about 74, 75, very similar to the other 5521 ports. And then let's make sure that it's showing the same on the Jackery. And if you could see through that little sticker, you could see it's 76, 75. So we're getting identical amounts of wattage going out and into each system. I just want to highlight something before I test all the outputs. I'm glad I checked the directions, because right here this bullet point says multiple ports can work together, but if the power is more than 600 watts at the same time, the warning sign will flash and the DC output will be turned off. So if you need to use the DC output function, please make sure the total power of the product is less than 600 watts, such as reducing the AC output power. So that means that I just can't use over 600 watts of power with all the ports combined, which is, it kind of stinks, but it makes sense. I mean, I would be able to get a lot of power out of this if that was not limited, but pretty much I can use my small space heater that gets about 500 watts here, and then I'll only have 100 for the rest of these ports. So that's just something to keep in mind, not to go over 600 watts with all ports combined. This one should not go over 500, of course, but if you're getting some USBs in here, just make sure that they stay under 600 watts total. All right, here we have all of the DC ports except for the 5521, the second one, but we have all the USBs in. I'm going to turn on the USB section first, and then I'll turn on the DC section to make sure everything works in unison when both of these ports or all of these sections are engaged. Okay, and you can hear that the inverter is, or the cooling fans, I mean, are turned on in the CP500. I'm not sure if I'm not hearing anything from the other solar generators, but what it said in the manual is that anything over 180 watts coming in or out of the Cellpowa500, it will automatically turn on its cooling fans. So you get some noise because we're outputting almost 300 watts of power just from the DC and USB ports. However, everything is looking pretty good here. I can see on the Jackery 300, which isn't in the view, in your view, it's between 60 and 68 or 69 watts going in. Now it stopped at 67, but it's still shuffling. Right here we have 69, 70 watts going in from the car charger. And then for the Sherpa, which is the other one that I can measure, it is showing 56 watts going into here. So the other ones, I don't have the exact measurement, but it totals about 70 watts for the remaining ones. So hope that made sense, but as you can see here, cooling fans on, DC, USB, USB-C, so you're notified from the screen. Okay, so I have just one USB-C connected. I'm not turning on the USB-A's or this DC section. You can see we're outputting about 59 watts, and I'm going to connect my space heater, which takes out about 500 to 510 watts, just to see if it all works correctly. So plugging it in, and I'm going to turn on the AC port right now, and let's see if it can withstand the amount of power coming out. Okay. Alright, so here we go. It's going to progressively increase, hopefully, like last time. Okay, here we go. We're seeing it increase a little more. Okay, so we're pretty consistent here at about 560, 558. And now I'm just going to run the space heater that's already running, and I'm going to turn this on. And now it will probably go maybe a little over 600 watts, but I want to test it to make sure that if it can work, that's great, or if it automatically shows that that battery indicator saying, hey, like, don't go over 600 watts. So here we go.
take a second. All right, now we're getting into the dangerous range. I don't recommend doing this at home. This is only for entertainment purposes. So 622 watts are coming out, 119 in there, and then the rest are going through the space heater. So this is working a little better, 20 watts better than what it said earlier in the directions. Now we have DC section. Okay, so now you can see that it's limiting the power because it went over 600 watts and it was doing it for a little while, and now you can see it's only going to about 500 watts. The DC section, or the I think it said DC section, was flashing, which means that it just turned off this section automatically because it's too much going in. Now that's a really big shout out to the battery management system that's taking charge of this and making sure that it doesn't overuse its power.
Okay guys, so a few things with the CP500. So overall, I'm going to go over just the highlights that I found from this. First and foremost is that with solar, the maximum I was able to get, and I did this today in good sunlight, is 70 watts consistently. It went to 71 watts at the highest today, but 70 is probably the best I'm going to get in the conditions. So today it was like 45 degrees, and sun was decently high in the sky for like winter, and had perfect sunlight. So 70 watts is what I would expect on a good day. Maybe in the summer you might get a few more watts. I would maybe say 75, and maybe you would touch 80, but I would say 70 is a pretty fair number. And for that, compared to solar panels that come with a system, so I'm talking about like Jackery systems and Goal Zero, like the big name brands, you could it's probably competitive when it comes to connecting their solar panels with their portable power stations. So I would say it's fair or average for solar input. Now, another highlight I have has to do with the battery. So this is my favorite highlight, is the lithium iron phosphate battery. This is rated for 2,000 cycles to 80% battery capacity, which is about 4 times higher than the average of 500 cycles. So this basically lasts 4 times longer than a Jackery 500, which uses a lithium ion battery instead of a lithium iron phosphate. So that's just one comparison, but this will last a long time. That's the most value you'll get on this. Next here I have that it will recharge from both the wall charger in addition to the 2 USB-Cs. So that is a total of about, let's see, 91 watts came from the wall charger plus 120. So you're going to get over 200 watts of recharging at one time. That's a pretty nice addition. So in about 3 hours, you could recharge this from 0 to 100%. That's a nice feature to have if you have the equipment necessary to get those USB-Cs to charge with the wall charger. Also, I have the ease of use. This is my last highlight. This is extremely easy to use. So any beginner would not struggle with this, because and this is in addition to the solar panel. The solar panel is extremely easy to use. All you have to do is connect one connector to the 2.5 millimeter input, and that's it. You just have to angle it right and get to just some good sun, and that's the easiest solar charging experience I think I've had with any solar panel, solar generator system so far. Also, this screen and the buttons for the outputs and inputs are easy to use. Now, with the USB-Cs, if you're trying to get them to do either an output or input, you have to sort of mess with the cables in order to get them working the way you want. I found it difficult to make them an input or an output, so I had to adjust the cables and unplug them in certain areas and just mess around with it before I got what I wanted. Besides that, everything else worked to specification and normally. So there was no special thing you had to do. I'd say the only other special thing you kind of had to do was the USB-C section, or the USB section. You have to press the power button in order to activate it. But besides that, all these other ones have their own dedicated sections, which makes it pretty easy to use. And other than that, I'd say that overall it's just extremely simple. So if you don't want to have a bunch of features like the EcoFlow River Max, I love it, but then again, it has a bunch of features, and if you don't want to have to go through all of the different ways of working with it, and you just want something that works when you want to use it, then this will probably be a really good option. And for the price, as far as I know, it's at least average for the solar panel plus this. If you just get this, it's probably a lot less than the typical 500 to 600 watt hour portable power station. I'll talk about the cons. I'm just gonna put this on my shoulder. All right, so for the cons, first off, the solar panel, it's the 100 watt, it's Solarpowa SP100. It's average. You get 70 watts. It's the best I've had testing it, and good sun. So it'll work. It's not 100 watts. It's not 80 watts. It's about 70. So it works, and it works fairly well, but not amazing. Also with the solar panel, two more things. The solar panel is high voltage, so it's rated for like the nominal, like the best sun conditions possible. It's rated for about 25 volts at 4 amps, which equals about 100 watts. Now, with that being said, most solar panel with portable power stations like this are not 24, 25 volts. They're actually more like 18 volts or around that, and they have a little higher amps. The reason why that's important is because if you wanted to get just this with a different solar panel than the SP100 one I used, it would be a struggle to find. I looked on Amazon, and so many of the solar panels, like the portable ones, they are rated for like 18 volts or less, and I really struggled. I think I only found like 1 or 2 solar panels, and those weren't even portable ones. They were just the big rigid ones that were 25 volts. The other ones, most of the other ones are going to be under that, and that could be a problem, especially since most of those other solar panels that are 18 volts or a little lower and rated for like a 12 volt system, those won't work because they have too high of amps coming in, and this only accepts about 4 and maybe a little higher than 4 amps maximum, and 110 watts total for solar charging. That could be a problem. And so with that, if it's going to be a huge struggle to find a good solar panel, a third-party one, then I probably wouldn't recommend getting this if you don't intend on getting the solar panel with it, because it will be hard. So that's pretty much it. If you can find like a decent solar panel with around 4 amps of power, maximum power, or around that number, then maybe you could connect a couple of them in a series, and that might be able to save you some money on the cost, because the solar panel is fairly expensive. I forget the exact price, but there was no like coupon or anything for it. So double check on Amazon. I have the whole thing, I have all this linked below, but I would double check just to make sure that you find the right solar panel if you're going to get a third-party one. Okay, next here for the solar panel this is the last one. It's large when it's folded. So I have it over here, and it only folds in half. Now, my LA Conto one, which is the only one that I really tested, that one folds 3 or 4 times over, and it's pretty portable, especially compared to the BigBlue one. Now, it wouldn't be a problem if you got the BigBlue one and you weren't moving it around much. It has a carrying handle. Everything else about it is nice, but if you're really looking for portability, I would recommend getting a solar panel that is that folds over at least once more, so you can maybe store it more easily and carry it around more easily. Unique features. So unique features of this. A lot of other systems have this. I know the OFF system I have has this, but the LED light is actually really effective. I have to turn it on, but the LED light is actually really bright. If I can get it to work. The LED light is really bright, and yeah, so you get all the main functions, the 3 functions, normal, or you get a bright mode, a normal mode, and then the SOS. But the light is a great feature to have, especially if you're going to use it on a campsite or anywhere at night. If you need to use it at home in the case of a power outage or a temporary outage for a few hours, you have the light that can really just light up a room pretty easily. So that's a really cool feature that I like and is fairly unique. Next here we have the handle. Now the handle, although it's not a huge, like, crazy thing, it's actually really cool because it is telescoping. It does move up and down, and you have to sort of press each side to get it fully down, but it snaps in place. And when you want to use it, it's extended. Now it's not like perfect, like it moves around slightly when you're trying to use it, but for the most part, it's pretty sturdy for something like a telescoping handle. And why this is unique is because you just don't see this in other systems. I think all the other ones I own, they just have a flat, solid handle, which works well, but if you're trying to store this, or if you, I don't know, if you need space and maybe in like a camper van or something, if you have a flat handle to this, and you could set stuff on here compared to something that has a handle and you would need to put that on top of something or have its own space. So this is really good for space consolidation if you need that. Let's see here. And lastly, I already mentioned this. This is just because it's my favorite feature. The lithium iron phosphate battery. It's just not common yet. You see that more and more often in these power stations, but having this style of battery is just way better and compared to a lithium ion battery, just because it lasts way longer. And that's all I have for unique features. And now, would I get this? So me personally, I would prefer something that is has more features, because I know more about these systems than the average person, and I would like to just have more versatility with it. And since I don't mind all the different, like, complicated features that some people might not, I would prefer something like the EcoFlow River Max that I used. Granted, that one's battery doesn't last as long as this, not nearly as long in terms of longevity, but other than that, there's a lot more I can do with it, and that's why I like it over this. However, in terms of simplicity, this would be something that I would give to one of my family members or one of my friends who is interested in getting their first power station. Just because it's extremely easy to use and they're not going to run into a lot of issues when using it. It's straightforward. There's very few things that you need to know in order to make it work, and that's huge for people that don't need all the extra stuff and features and applications and all that. So this is definitely for a beginner or someone who just doesn't want to deal with all the extra stuff and would just want something that works. In that case, that's who I would recommend this to, but it's not my style. Otherwise, it's a great system, and yeah, that's about it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got something out of it and maybe are considering getting one, you could check out the link in the description below. It'll link to Amazon, where you'll see both of the products there, the panel and the system. You guys go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. I'm coming out with more videos more often. And comment if you have any comments. I'll do my best to respond quickly to those. And also, if you guys are looking for more information on this before you really look into the price, and if you really want to get it, I have my article linked in the description as well, and that compares it to other similar portable power stations that I've used and that are pretty popular within the solar generator industry. If you want more information and you really want to find the best one for your needs, I would recommend seeing that, because you'll see it side by side, the different features and specs. So, I mean, everyone has unique things that they need to power in case of a power outage or if they want to go camping or whatever. And highly recommend checking that out if you're really looking for detailed information. But besides that, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. And also, I want to thank BigBlue for sponsoring this video by providing me these systems. They really wanted me to test it and give an honest review, so I appreciate them for giving me the opportunity. So guys, stay tuned for another video coming here soon, and thanks again. Have a good day.